Caden Finley is the guy, Mike, you've been talking about when it comes to these Fighting Irish football recruiting updates, and you have a big update today.
Yeah, this is simply a huge one, Darren. The 4-star wide receiver from Lido, Texas High School is on campus right now. He got into town late Sunday and is there today. I'm not sure if he'll be there Tuesday. They have a few other unofficial visitors. I think we may have talked about some last week, Darren. You can find more about it at blueandgold.com. But yeah, so you got a few guys, 2 other wide receiver prospects visiting from like Sunday to Tuesday. So Finley very well may be doing that as well. So here's the thing. Finley is coming back to campus June 13th for his official visit. He was at Notre Dame for the junior day at the end of January. He was in town for a spring visit at the end of March, and he's back again in June, and he's coming back in less than 2 weeks. I would think this is a really good thing. I mean, I guess you could spin it as something else. I don't know what exactly you would say. Maybe he's looking for a reason not to pick. I don't know. But I think this is a huge deal, especially last week, Darren. There was a Texas reporter at On3 who predicted Finley to end up at Texas. And I wrote an article. I still think the Irish end up landing Finley, but I don't hate the prediction for someone to pick him to Texas. I get it. He's a top in-state target, and his father, Jermichael Finley, played for the Longhorns. Like, it makes sense for him to go to Texas, but he's been to Notre Dame so many times. They offered him, 14, 15 months ago. His 4th campus trip this year in terms of when he gets to his official visit. I still like the Irish here. I think he fits Notre Dame. I think he wants Notre Dame. Is that Texas pull, being a legacy? Does it end up being too much for the Irish to overcome? I don't know. It's close. And he is also really likes A&M. He's going to visit there this upcoming weekend for his official. He's taken officials to Arizona State and UCLA. But I still like Notre Dame to end up landing him, and I think this unofficial is just extremely, extremely interesting. I'd say 2 prospects we've talked about more than pretty much anyone else on this show is Caden Finley and probably Joey O'Brien, the outstanding 2-way athlete from Pennsylvania. I would argue that those are your 2 most important targets on the board, and I mean, I would probably say because of the positional importance, Finley is just the must-have guy. Like, if you could land anyone in the class, I would argue,
wow,
it would be Finley. A big-time target, position of need. Notre Dame has 2 receiver commits, Darren, both of the sub 6 foot, variety slot type guys, and Dylan Faison and Bubba Frazier. Finley can, play field, play boundary, impact guy, potential true freshman. A performer. So Caden Finley visiting Notre Dame early this week, Darren, I think is a pretty big deal.
2 things. Hopefully the NFL bloodlines that Notre Dame has created a little pipeline helps them in this particular spot. And also, as a very smart guy told me, follow the visits. And so if I follow the visits, that's a good sign for Notre Dame.
Couldn't have been me who said that, Darren.
I can't remember who it was. I think it rhymes with like ringer, but I could be wrong on that. I'll check my chat GPT for that information.
Well done.
All right. Let's talk about this. Always fascinates me because depending on the Notre Dame coach, they either had a big problem with this or they didn't. But a Notre Dame commit is visiting Georgia. Who is this player, and should we be concerned?
It's funny you mentioned that because Marcus Freeman's been on both sides of it.
Yeah.
So Thomas Davis Jr. from the Charlotte area, another NFL legacy, his father, Thomas Davis Sr., played at Georgia, and then for a decade or I think 14 years or so with the Carolina Panthers. Davis committed to Notre Dame last November, and then added a Georgia offer May 7th, and then just officially visited Notre Dame this past weekend. But before we dive into that, I want to throw this out there. I've said this many times on this program. There was one recruiting class, it was 3 years ago, where Notre Dame and Marcus Freeman said, if you're a commit, do not officially visit anywhere else. That was kind of a problem for Notre Dame in that cycle. Like, a lot of kids committed and then wanted to take OVs. Notre Dame got a lot of early commitments that cycle. So, a lot of those kids are like, man, all my buddies are taking official visits. They're having these wine and dine, 48-hour fully expenses paid official. I want to go do that. So Notre Dame had a problem with that in the 23 cycle. For whatever reason, Notre Dame, and even with this Davis Jr. tweet, I've seen people's or report. I've seen people say, Notre Dame fans, oh man, well, he must not be committed anymore because Notre Dame does this with their. I'm like, gosh, this was talking about 3 years ago. What are we doing here? Anyways, Davis Jr. is still fully committed to Notre Dame. That is, he's not decommitted. He's not flipped. There's two schools of thought here, Darren. There's one side of this. I totally understand if you're an Irish fan, you say, Mike, when is the last time a Notre Dame commit officially visited another school and then signed with the Irish? I think it's about a decade. It's definitely not in the past 6 years that I've been covering the program. You've had guys unofficially visit. You guys had, or Notre Dame's had decommits, like Deion Colsey decommitted from Notre Dame and then took some visits and then recommitted to Notre Dame. Like Philip Riley was the same thing in that same recruiting class in 21 cycle, but not you are committed, official, and signed. It's not happened for Notre Dame. It's been a long time. So I understand that. If you're a Notre Dame fan, you just see that. I get it. But I think there are some external, or other forces here that make it not just such a black and white thing. His father played at Georgia. If I'm the dad, and I want my kid to play at Georgia now that he's got that offer, or at the very least, son, you need to go look at Georgia. Like, just take the official visit and see what you think. If you don't love it, whatever, stick with Notre Dame, but you got to go see it. I would understand that. I think that might be what is happening here. I can tell you, so from sources, I think, and I'm going to write more about this at Blue and Gold on Monday night. I think that he's going to stick with Notre Dame, and he's going to officially visit. Let me look. I think it's next weekend. It might be. Yeah, I believe it's June 13th. He's going to be on campus next weekend for his official. He's been to Notre Dame a ton. He's been a leader in this class. And I hear you, Notre Dame fan. Oh, Mike, I've heard this before. I get it. I know. But fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 50 times. It's, shame on me for buying into a kid sticking when he's taking official visits elsewhere. But I do believe that this one, I believe this one will be different. So sources that I'm talking with on different sides of this recruitment think he's going to stick. And again, I'll be writing more about it at Blue and Gold, especially what I'm hearing from his official visit and how things went. But my mind kind of just reading between the lines, I think it was like, son, come on, go check out Georgia. We're not doing anything this weekend. You want to go hang out in Athens and see what they have to say? It makes sense. It does. If this were a Charlotte kid just visiting Georgia just because, yeah, that would be certainly interesting. But when you kind of look into the context behind the situation, and if you believe my theory here, then it makes sense for him to take that visit. I think the scary part of it, Darren, is that it's an official visit, right? It's the official just kind of has that mystique to it, that it's a big deal, and it might be. He very well could flip, but right now, sources and guts say he's going to end up sticking with the Irish, but we'll see.